Emma had always felt a little out of place. As the youngest of three siblings, she was often overshadowed by her sister Mia, who excelled in sports, and her brother Ethan, who was a straight-A student. Emma, on the other hand, was quiet, a dreamer, and often content to sit in the backyard with her golden retriever, Charlie. Charlie wasn't just her dog. He was her confidant, her partner in crime, and the only one who truly understood her. His amber eyes seemed to hold wisdom beyond his years, and his wagging tail was always a source of comfort when Emma felt alone. One crisp Saturday morning, Emma sat on the porch steps, watching the autumn leaves drift lazily to the ground. The woods beyond their backyard called to her, the trees standing tall like silent guardians of countless secrets. Her parents had always warned her never to go in there. It was too dangerous. But today, the pull was stronger than her fear. She glanced at Charlie, who sat beside her, his head tilted as if asking, "What's the plan?" "Charlie," she said softly, scratching his ears, "we're doing it. We're going into the woods." Charlie's tail wagged furiously, as if he had been waiting for this moment his whole life. Emma grabbed her backpack, stuffing it with a water bottle, a flashlight, some granola bars, and Charlie's favorite tennis ball. With a deep breath, she climbed over the backyard fence, Charlie following close behind. The woods were even more enchanting than she had imagined. Sunlight filtered through the trees, creating patterns of light and shadow on the forest floor. The air smelled of earth and pine, and the only sounds were the crunch of leaves underfoot and the occasional chirp of a bird. Emma and Charlie explored endlessly. They discovered a small stream where Charlie splashed happily, a hollow tree that Emma was sure once housed fairies, and a clearing where the sunlight painted the ground in golden hues. They played fetch, Emma's laughter ringing through the trees as Charlie bounded after the ball, returning with his tongue lolling out in happiness. Hours passed in a blur, and Emma felt freer than she ever had before. But as the sun began to dip lower in the sky, a creeping realization dawned on her. They were lost. Her stomach tightened as she looked around. Every tree looked the same, and the trail they had followed seemed to have disappeared. "Charlie," she whispered, kneeling beside him. "I think we're in trouble." Charlie nudged her hand with his nose, his warm, reassuring presence calming her nerves. Emma remembered hearing that dogs could sense direction better than humans. She decided to trust him. "Okay, boy," she said, her voice trembling but resolute. "It's up to you now." Charlie sniffed the air and began to walk purposefully in one direction. Emma followed closely, her heart pounding with every step. The forest seemed darker now, shadows stretching long and menacing. The occasional rustle of leaves made her jump, but Charlie's steady pace kept her moving. They walked for what felt like hours. Emma's legs ached, and her flashlight flickered weakly. Just as she began to lose hope, Charlie barked sharply and took off ahead. "Charlie, wait," she called, panic rising in her chest. She hurried after him and broke through the trees to find herself standing at the edge of her backyard. The familiar sight of her house, with its porch light glowing warmly, brought tears to her eyes. She dropped to her knees, wrapping her arms around Charlie. "You did it, boy. You brought us home," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Charlie licked her face, his tail wagging as if to say, "I told you I had this." When Emma's parents found out what she had done, they were furious. But as Emma recounted the adventure and how Charlie had saved her, their anger softened. They couldn't stay mad at her or Charlie for long, especially when they saw how much braver and more confident Emma had become. From that day on, Emma and Charlie's bond grew even stronger. They continued to explore the world together, this time with her parents' cautious approval, and Emma learned that sometimes taking risks was the best way to discover who you really were. Because some of the greatest adventures happen when you step out of your comfort zone and when you have a loyal friend by your side.